Now, rather than just get into all the jokes, I want to get back to this. Did Tommy and the crew go too far when the shots at Aaron Hernandez, the now unalived former tight end, convicted murderer, and was a teammate of the New England Patriots, Tom Brady and crew for a few years? Did they go too far, and did the shots fired at Aaron, quote-unquote, go out of bounds? Football pun intended there. Let me play the video. This was some of the main ones. So most of you that know Aaron Hernandez's story, there were 4 jokes that got really focused on. So let's go ahead and roll those.
The bar for Patriot tight ends was pretty low back then. Block, catch, don't murder.
I'm sorry, Randy. Why don't you have a ring? What the hell, man? You're one of the best ever. Drew Bledsoe has a ring. Aaron Hernandez had a ring around his neck. Like, what's going on?
Tom is afraid of the Giants, which is why Kevin Hart is hosting tonight. It's true. All night, he's been using the stool that Aaron Hernandez kicked out from under himself.
Everyone always asks me how big Gronk's dick is. Now, don't get me wrong, it gets the job done. But there was this other Patriots tight end. Now, he was hung.
So, yeah, there was a few of them there, obviously all referencing Aaron Hernandez, and I have to say, I guess nowadays, unaliving himself. Did they go too far? Obviously, the one who spoke up about it was the former fiance and mother of his 11-year-old child, Shauna Jenkins, said yes. Shauna Jenkins, who, by the way, is also, for those of y'all that don't know, Shauna Jenkins is also the sister of her sister's boyfriend, was Odin Lloyd, the guy that he shot. So they all know each other pretty well. But Shauna Jenkins, the fiance, mother of the 11-year-old child, said that they went too far going to Aaron Hernandez. Quote, "I'm sad that I'm trying to raise my daughter in such a cruel world." My first reaction, honestly, was like, well, tell that to Ursula Lloyd, the mother of, Odin, who's shot, that she went and visited his gravesite for, the next 10 years, pretty much daily, they said. This idea that, there is an 11-year-old involved, and also, this wasn't the roast of Aaron Hernandez. This was the roast of Tom Brady. I could also make the argument even there that it was kind of hard to roast Tom because there really isn't a lot to hit Tom on. I mean, let's keep it a buck. Tom Brady's a 6'4", model-looking, greatest of all-time quarterback in the number one position, the number one sports watched in America of any of the sports. He had a supermodel wife who actually made more money than him. Like, what are you going to hit him with? I mean, all you really had was the fact that he did end up losing his wife to the jiu-jitsu trainer, and they did go at that, the deflate gate with the softballs, deflating the balls. But other than that, you're going to have to, this is a roast. It's on Netflix. There's a lot of pressure. They want it to be the greatest roast of all time. There's going to be some strays caught in those situations, and so Aaron Hernandez was part of that. But the question, and we'll put it back up here, did they go too far with the Aaron Hernandez jokes? My personal opinion, not just me, I would say I was there, the crowd, the comics afterwards, the general consensus of people that watched on Netflix is no. And I'll give you a few reasons why here. For one, let's start with the parents and kids thing. I mean, I get that there's an 11-year-old left behind, but if we had to leave out every person from being roasted at a hardcore roast that was the parent of a child, we wouldn't have much really to deal with. I mean, the fact is, if any parents think like, hey, my kid was listening, has a good chance to make an argument, I think Tom does. I think Giselle definitely does. Bridget Moynihan, who caught strays, the one that he ended up leaving her with that child, though all those kids had to hear it. All of them had to hear jokes about, their parents and everything else, and nobody felt sorry for them. They didn't kill anybody, by the way, and I'm sorry, that's a big part of this. I mean, for people that need to be taken down memory lane and maybe still don't know, Aaron Hernandez slaughtered Odin Lloyd. This was not, a Sunday school teacher who just had a bad day. Aaron Hernandez not only killed that dude and was convicted of it, he was tried and later acquitted on a double murder, and most likely because he killed the other guy who was the witness to it. He had also been involved in a sucker punch situation in 2007 where he ruptured a guy's eardrum. He was involved in a 2007 strip club shooting, according to police reports. And on June 17, 2013, he took Odin Lloyd, one of his best friends, and again, his fiance's sister's boyfriend, dragged his ass behind an industrial park, shot him 7 times, and left him there to die. Why? We still don't know because it didn't make a lot of sense. The two most top speculations are A, once again, he was a witness to the double murder that he was also accused, indicted of, and later acquitted. Or that two, which is even crazier, was that Aaron Hernandez was bisexual or gay or whatever you want to call it, had a lover that he didn't want to get out, came from a very homophobic background, and that the Odin Lloyd guy was going to out him in either the trial or something else. But either way, for whatever reason, Aaron Hernandez decided, I'm going to take one of my friends and my fiance's sister's boyfriend. I'm going to drag him back here. I'm going to pump 7 rounds in him and leave him here to die. And that is, again, after the 2007 police reports that he also ruptured a man's eardrum in a sucker punch. That's after he was involved in a strip club shooting. That's after he was indicted for another double murder. And so when you combine all of that, again, this was not just like, oh, this was a normally nice guy who had a bad day. This was a sociopathic, violent person. And even the unaliving part, which I think is where the most sensitivity comes in with all of this. The fact is, he didn't even think about doing that, and I wasn't there in his brain. But, I mean, the fact is, he kind of waited till the tax man came. I mean, it wasn't until he was convicted and facing his life in prison that suddenly he decided, you know what, I don't really want to deal with, paying the toll for everything that I've done. And he wrote notes, by the way, to his fiance. He wrote one to his kid. He wrote one to his supposed lover, the male lover that he had. And so, I mean, he knowingly and willingly said, I'm going to leave this to y'all on your own. I mean, he wrote notes. It wasn't like he didn't think about them when he did what he did. So, this isn't exactly a sympathetic figure. And it was somebody that played on the Patriots and wasn't like the kicker or the long snapper. He was a big part of their organization for a very long time. So that's another reason I really, I think he's kind of fair game, whether he's a parent or, was a parent or not. Another reason I want to bring into why I don't think maybe they've gone too far is that at least the jokes, while dark, and I'm a fan of a dark joke or kind of a toe the line joke, as long as it's, for one, clever, I think that's important. And two, is it really directed at the person, or is it kind of a, ricochet that's supposed to go somewhere else? All those jokes were either based around really that, Kevin Hart was short or Gronk was a big dick dumb idiot. They weren't necessarily directed at Aaron Hernandez. They were used to move the punchline. I'll give you an example of one that is the other direction, one that I think did, cross the line of it just wasn't a good joke and it wasn't funny and it was just in mean spirit. Amy Schumer caught a lot of shit for this one, rightfully so. Years ago, for y'all that don't remember, Steve-O from Jackass had just lost Ryan Dunn to a DUI accident, and he was up on a roast, and Amy Schumer was up there roasting the other people on the dais, and Corey, if you could run this one for me, drop this joke. This is an example, if you want to talk about one that, maybe went too far or wasn't in good taste, this is the one a lot of people reference, but in case you haven't heard it, here it goes.
But I truly am, no joke, sorry for the loss of your friend Ryan Dunn. I know you must have been thinking it could have been me, and I know we were all thinking, why wasn't it?
And you look at Steve-O's face.
Thank you.
And she's being all, thank you. And I mean, that was a joke that really didn't have, like, where's the punch? Where's the punchline? I mean, where's the clever twist? All it was, hey, your friend died drunk driving, and we wished it was you. Okay. Not much else to that other than that was just kind of mean-spirited and weird. Using that Kevin Hart is short, so they kicked the stool out from underneath that Aaron Hernandez used is at least a Kevin Hart-directed joke. We had to keep it simple for Gronkowski, pass, block, don't murder people. That's at least a shot at Gronkowski being dumb and has some sort of, there's some sort of end around to it. She just went, hey, your friend died and we wished it was you. So that's an example of one that, in my opinion, even as a fan of a roast, was like, that really didn't hit the mark. And most people agree that didn't hit the mark. These ones, I thought, and universally, I was, again, live in the crowd. Most people laughed. Everyone had a good time with it. And so that's the third reason I don't think that they ended up going too far. And the fourth one that I'll bring up real quick is that, Aaron Hernandez didn't take responsibility. So why are we putting it on the comics? I mean, we're talking about, and a lot of people like to use this when they want sympathy. They'll put their kid out in front. The fact is, Aaron Hernandez, again, wrote his unalived note. He wrote one to his kid. He willingly knew, like, hey, I know I'm supposed to be your dad, but I don't really want to face the responsibility of this life imprisonment. I'm going to go ahead and check out early. Deuces, I'll talk to you, maybe in the next life. So it's tragic. It sucks. And I feel terrible for that 11-year-old. Of course, she's going to hear about this and catch jokes. Everyone watched the Netflix thing, over the weekend. But still, the idea that suddenly now the responsibility is on the comics to be sensitive, again, about a guy who murdered a person in cold blood and had probably killed 2 others, at least allegedly, and was indicted for it, had beat up other people, had involved in other shootings. Suddenly he's out of bounds. You can't touch him, or you can't make jokes about what he did or how he ended up deciding to leave this planet. I don't think it's fair. I really don't. So, again, to review, was it kind of sad that there is an 11-year-old still around that has to hear about this, about a dad that's her hero? Sure. Is the fiance got every right in the world to say, like, hey, this is supposed to be a roast about Tom. Why the hell y'all keep bringing up Aaron just to get a laugh? I don't think that's cool. Absolutely. But if you ask me just personally, as my opinion goes, again, if you had to leave parents out, we really don't have much left to play with. And I think if anyone has a right to say, hey, my kids heard that, I would throw Giselle and Bridget Moynihan on that list. Again, he murdered a man viciously, shot him 7 times, either to cover up the double murder that he was also accused of, or because he just couldn't simply handle the fact that someone might bring out the fact that he could possibly be gay. The jokes were at least clever and were directed somewhere else. They were either to make fun of Kevin Hart being short or Rob Gronkowski being dumb. They weren't like the Amy Schumer joke that was just mean-spirited or weird. And again, if Aaron didn't take responsibility, why is it suddenly on a bunch of people that didn't even know him in the comics or teammates that played with him that maybe aren't cool with what he did? Why is it suddenly their responsibility for that child's mental health that we all can't have fun and try to take away laughter, the one thing that we still have that can unify and put everybody together? I'm sorry. I get the frustration. I think she had every right to say her piece. But if you ask me personally, and you guys can let me know what you think, I don't think they went too far. I thought it was in the realm of a roast. I thought it was in good spirit. It was not a guy who was exactly Nelson Mandela or a sweet person. He had a long history of violence. And so throw that all together, I don't think it was their responsibility. And I think they handled it the way they were supposed to handle it. And I had a good time. Everyone else had a good time. Everyone laughed their ass off. It was a lot of fun. I was glad.